college football regular season's done. The results are in, and we have our bowl games. We have our college football playoffs. This is episode 180 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy, as always, and we'll talk about our college football a little bit later, Brett. Let's take a look at how we did last episode, and I actually bounced back pretty well. I went 6-3, and including a pick of the pod win, which I think I might follow for the rest of 2021, putting 2 units on my pick of the pod.
Oh, yeah? Okay, Higgins. I see you feeling a little confident. A little swag in that step. Okay.
A little bit.
Well, guess what? I also won my Levy lock, so...
There we go.
Calm down there, buddy. You didn't do that much.
Well, there we go. A pick of the pod win, a Levy lock win. And Brett, you nearly went 2-0. I mean, the Falcons plus 11, it didn't hit. But that's because the Bucs decided to kick a field goal just under 2 minutes left in the game. And they ended up winning that game by like 13. So you should have hypothetically covered, but the Falcons defense just wasn't able to keep it together for the full 4.
Higgins, you know me. What am I gonna say? You win some, you lose some.
A loss is a loss. I know you.
I don't believe in the bad beat. I mean, obviously, I kind of believe in the bad beat, but I just don't believe in the bad beat because you're gonna win some like that. So, what do we call those? Oh, the amazing come from behind miraculous win. You know what, Higgins? I guess we call it moneyline magic, right?
Yes, we do. Well, that one would be a spread magic. We have a moneyline magic that's coming up, though, in a little bit. A very good one, too, if I have to say myself. Our Beginner's Boulevard this week, Brett, it's a term we've talked about before, but it's relevant because I have an example again. The bet back cash out option, if you remember the last time we talked about this, I cashed out my Bill Belichick Coach of the Year bet that I made before the NFL season started, and that's what a cash out bet back is. It's when the sportsbooks offer a bettor a chance to be able to cash out either partial winnings or a partial amount of their stake to end a bet before it is actually realized. So, I cashed out my Bill Belichick Coach of the Year bet shortly before the Patriots started going on a run, and now they have the best record in the AFC right now before playing on Monday night, and I am seriously questioning whether that was a smart decision.
Well, it happens, Higgins. I cashed out my Seahawks future. Can't be too upset.
They had a big win on Sunday too.
They won a game on Sunday. I still think they're dead, but
I agree.
But it was an exciting game.
Yeah, my Belichick cash out might just be a prime example of why you probably, in most cases, don't want to cash out your bet. I mean, sometimes it helps you not take on a full loss, but if a sportsbook's offering that to you, typically there's a chance that you can still win, and so maybe hang on to that ticket still.
I think a lot of times you can place long-term future bets, Higgins, with the expectations hey, I hope to cash out for a little plus money and possibly re-get in, or, you hope to hedge out along the way, not necessarily a true cash out, but kind of minimize your winnings there a little bit by hedging. So, look, there's lots of reasons to place these long-term future bets, and, you don't have to hold on and wait to the bitter end for all of them.
Hedging, another good Beginner's Boulevard term we've talked about a few times, something that I might bring up again a little later as well. Brett, before we get into what picks we have this episode, let's talk about the MLB, a sport that we probably actually shouldn't be talking about right now in terms of betting because they're in the off season. They actually just went into a lockout. But before that lockout happened, we had some big names that signed, including, I know you're a Mets fan, and you got to be happy about having DeGrom Scherzer as the 1-2 combo whenever baseball starts happening again.
Yeah, Higgins, I used to root for this little podunk team in Flushing, New York, and now all of a sudden I root for a big market team in New York City. Look at this. 2 aces, look pretty good, and yeah, you're right. It was an interesting few days there right before the MLB lockout, we saw a lot of big names sign, and a few still on the market like Trevor Story and Carlos Correa. So there will definitely be some good stories for us to follow when the lockout ends.
And the lockout news and the negotiating that was happening last week leading up to the lockout, I think actually covered up a rather big story in the MLB that does have some potential gambling, some reasons that we should be talking about it in terms of gambling, and that is Business Insider came out with an article at the end of November, I think it was on November 30th, claiming that allegedly there were two different versions of baseballs that were being used all MLB season in 2021, unbeknownst to the players and to the teams. And it's saying that there were apparently marquee matchups that were getting juiced baseballs to help make it more entertaining for those that were watching on national television. And some games were getting dead-end balls, games that wouldn't be on national TV, that weren't marquee matchups, smaller market type games. Brett, in terms of betting, because we haven't learned a lot about this, I think there's still a lot more to come out regarding these accusations and everything like that. But in terms of betting, if what's being said is true, then that absolutely impacted over and unders bets, unbeknownst to the bettors that thought that they were playing with the same ball no matter what game was being played.
Yeah, I think you raised some good points, Higgins. I think this is something gamblers should absolutely follow. And maybe if we have another big-time baseball game in a cornfield, you just blindly bet the over because you're getting juiced baseballs, right? But no, seriously, I think, you raised some good points. I'm curious to see what happens with this when all the information comes out.
And I mean, well, let's be honest, juiced baseballs, they've been a topic of conversation almost every offseason in the MLB. A few years ago, the record was set with 6,776 home runs hit in the 2019 season. That broke a record that was set in 2017 and shattered that record by an 11% increase. So that's what started a juiced conversation after that 2019 season. And then obviously we had the shortened 2020 season. Brett, in the article, actually, Rawlings, who makes the baseballs for the MLB, they were saying that COVID protocols and the lack of resources and supply chain issues could have been part of the reason why they weren't able to make all of one type of baseball for the MLB season. I think there's just going to be a lot more coming out about this through December, probably. I mean, we're not going to get a lot of news in terms of signings or anything like that with the lockout. I don't think the lockout's going to move much until we get to 2022. Personally, we get closer, and at least in terms of public knowledge of what we know, they'll obviously still be talking. But I think we might be learning more about this two baseball scenario that happened in 2021, allegedly.
Yeah, I'm a little more skeptical, Higgins. I mean, no one's forced to talk right now. They're locked out. No, no one has to do anything. So, I really think we'll be sitting on this for a little bit. And look, I think what's the saying? Something about deadline spurring action, basically.
Yes. Yes.
So, what's the next deadline? Like spring training?
Catchers and pitchers report in February, I think, is the next deadline, basically. So, yeah.
All right, I'll see you February 10th, and we'll catch up then.
And until we get closer to that catchers and pitchers reporting, there's not a lot of pressure on this lockout in terms of sports news reporting. Like, it's not going to be on ESPN every day for us to watch. We'll get the occasional update from Ken Rosenthal and Jeff Passan every once in a while if you follow those guys on Twitter. But, like, we're not going to be getting the day in, day out news of the MLB like we would get with some signings. It's just going to be It's just going to be a dead winter in baseball, it seems.
Yeah, it'll be pretty quiet, Higgins, but thankfully we still got some football games, and we got a good one on Monday night.
A great Monday night divisional matchup. We had some great divisional matchups in the NFL this week, Brett, on Sunday. I mean, we had the Ravens Steelers, which came down to some chaos at the end. We had the Lions Vikings. We had the Seattle Seahawks and the Niners. We had a bunch of great division games, and it gets capped off on Monday night with the Patriots at the Bills. And what's a game in Buffalo without some weather being reported, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Higgins. And, I said to you before the show, I mean, it seems like it's just that time of the year in the Northeast. You get the gray skies, it's dark early, it's cold, it's windy. You used to live here, Higgins, before you moved to beautiful sunshine of Medford, Oregon.
Yes, and because of this weather, Brett, that's kind of why my pick is the way it is. Right now, at least in Oregon, Buffalo is a 3-point favorite with plus 100 value, which I think is some nice value, actually. And I'm going to take that, take the potential push with a field goal win, and I'm going to bet the Bills mainly because this weather makes it sloppy, this weather makes it unpredictable, but at least Josh Allen is used to playing in Buffalo in these conditions. Mac Jones is still a rookie. He hasn't had to play in this tough winter conditions yet. Is it under 32 degrees? Right now it looks like it's going to be low 30, so it might get to freezing. I'm not quite sure yet. It might just be another wet, cold, rainy game similar to what he had in Foxborough against the Bucks. But in Buffalo, not having his hometown crowd behind him, I think Max struggles in this one. I really do. I'm going to take Buffalo -3 here.
All right, well, I'm going to hop on the other side, but because I live in a different part of the country, Higgins, my line is slightly different. I'm going to take New England plus 2.5 at -105, and look, I think New England, of these two teams, right now deserves the more respect. I think they're playing better football than the Buffalo Bills. I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? The Bills lost at the Jaguars, Higgins. So, look, New England's won a bunch in a row. Right now,
6 straight.
Yeah, right now, they might even have home field in the AFC. So, look, I'll take them as 3-point dogs. I don't truly necessarily believe in my heart of hearts. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, Higgins, this is the greatest bet ever. This is the one everyone needs to tail me on. But it's the side I'm going to be on. I know I'm going to be there, Higgins, so I'm sharing it with the people.
And it makes for a happy household, right?
No, it makes for an angry household. I got to be on your side, but it's okay.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I
okay.
have that backwards. My fault.
If I can buy dinner, that's all that matters.
All right. Well, Brett, we have some other football we can talk about as well. Maybe talk about some college football. I mean, it's a little too early for lines for me. I mean, the next bowl game isn't until Friday, December 17th. So until maybe next episode when we could be talking about some FCS AA games, I'm not going to be placing a bet yet per se. But, Brett, we got Alabama #1, Michigan #2, Georgia #3, Cincinnati #4. So everyone like me that wanted to see a non-Power 5 team make it to the college football playoffs, we got what we wanted, but they have to face off against Alabama in the semifinals. Brett, this is about exactly as I expected it was going to end up being if Cincinnati made it.
Yeah, look, if you're a group of 5 passionate person about a group of 5 teams, UCF was undefeated, they should have been there. Okay, that's fine. Here's Alabama. Have fun. Like, prove it. Go out of the field. The proof is in the pudding, Higgins. So, look, I think Cincinnati can go out there and be competitive. But, Nick Saban's been there, done this a few times. It's an uphill battle. Cincinnati's very talented over the last few years. Ironically, their running back is an Alabama transfer, Higgins. So, kind of funny there that he squares up against his old team in the play. Like, fancy seeing you here.
I mean, I could probably see myself looking at the spread of that game and potentially talking myself into Cincinnati. I mean, last year they played a great game against Georgia, surprising people and still covering. But I don't know. Brett, I'm not going to be placing anything this early into December for games that aren't until New Year's Eve. But if you take a look at the national championship odds, there is something that, although I haven't pulled the trigger on placing it yet, I'm heavily debating, and that's right now, Alabama's the favorite at plus 120, and there is a part of me that is saying place a couple units on Alabama at plus 120, and then after the semifinals games, place a 1-unit bet on the other side of whoever wins Michigan, Ohio State. Or, sorry, what the hell? Michigan, Georgia. Why did I say Ohio State? Damn.
There you go, Higgins. You're going back in time. But yeah, you know what? That's not a horrible strategy. I think you're right. Alabama probably going to be favored no matter who comes out of that other game. I don't know if I imagine the rematch of Alabama-Georgia being the same blowout as the SEC championship, though.
I agree. If it is Alabama-Georgia again, which I'm kind of thinking it's going to be, if you look at the early lines, those are the two favorites in each of those semifinal games. I would expect that game to be closer and probably a little bit of a different pace. I think Kirby Smart would probably try to come in with a much different game plan than he did in that SEC championship game. I don't know. It looked like Kirby might have been playing a little safe and trying to keep his cards a little close against Saban, knowing he might have to play him again a second time.
Fair enough, Higgins.
Let's talk about some money line magic, though, Brett, because we do have a little bit more football to talk about. Because in the NFL on Sunday, I said it during our NFL segment, we had some amazing divisional games. And there's some honorable mentions. I mean, Steelers hang on to win over the Ravens after Baltimore went for 2 with 12 seconds left in the game, and Mark Andrews was just unable to make a one-handed catch. That easily could have been Moneyline Magic. But Brett, when you have a team that has not won in forever, you got to give them their round of applause. And I mean, Detroit deserves it here. Detroit playing against the Minnesota Vikings. Lions, they get the win in dramatic fashion. They come out in the second quarter, get 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals to take a 20-6 lead at halftime, and they continue to hold that lead through the third quarter. But it's a 4-quarter game, and of course Kirk Cousins in Minnesota would at least respond at some point.
Yeah, 2 Minnesota touchdowns would give the Vikings a 27-23 lead after a Justin Jefferson touchdown catch with 1:50 left in the fourth quarter. So Higgins, you're right, the Vikings would come back. But you know what they say, that's too much time for Jared Goff.
Well, the Vikings have a 5-point lead after that Jefferson touchdown, and it's important to note that they don't convert on a 2-point conversion. So they tried to go for 2, don't get it, and instead Detroit has a minute 40 left, 100 seconds, and drives 14 plays down the field and caps it off with an 11-yard touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown from Jared Goff. There was just 2 seconds left on the clock when they snapped this. This was a walk-off win for the Lions. Something the Vikings are used to with walk-off wins. Remember that Stephon Diggs catch?
Yeah, very, very exciting finish. And Higgins, this is something interesting that I think will be discussed in all casinos, sports books, everything on Monday morning when our podcast comes out. At the end of that game, there should have been a extra point, And if that extra point is blocked and returned, that's 2 points for the defensive team. Now, what I anticipate would have happened here is Detroit would have come out and kneeled it like we saw. I can't remember which team did it.
We've seen that before, yeah.
Yeah, we saw a team do it a few weeks ago, and people were like, what the hell is going on? Well, it's so they don't block it and make it a one-possession game. This case, it would be so they don't block it and tie it, but very crazy situation where, that play never takes place. The game ends. You mentioned it was a walk-off and all the excitement. It just doesn't happen there, but for a spread of 2 on this one, that could have affected some gambling payouts there. So lucky break for Detroit Lions backers, because who knows, Dan Campbell, first year head coach Higgins, maybe he makes a mistake, maybe he kicks it.
Well, and the Lions, they really deserved a win this season. Let's not forget, they lost by 2 points to the Ravens on a last-second field goal by Justin Tucker. They lost to the Vikings on a last-second field goal, also 19-17. They tied the Steelers. Then they lost by 3 points to the Cleveland Browns. They lost by 2 points last week to the Bears. They have had 5 competitive games before finally getting this win. The Lions, we're used to seeing them perform like this at the bottom of the barrel in the NFL, but they are not necessarily as bad as that 1-10 and 1 record dictates, because they have played some of these games close, and finally they were able to put a W on that schedule.
Yeah, no, great win for the Lions. Jared Goff's first career win without Sean McVay as his coach, so lots of good stuff coming, and yeah, I think you're right. They've been competitive all year.
Now let's move into some other Monday bets that we have, Brett. Shift into the NBA, and I like some of these games that we have on Monday night, Brett. One line that isn't out yet that I was looking at, or at least hoping to look at, the Cavaliers and the Bucks. People might not know this. Cleveland, actually, this past week, just unseated Golden State as the best team against the spread in the NBA.
Ooh, that's nice. And Higgins, I can give you a little spread action over here in New Jersey, in the swampland.
The Jers.
We got the Cavs plus 8 on the road at Milwaukee, and plus 275 on the money line. Milwaukee minus 340 on the money line. No over-under is available yet, but that's what I can do for you here at the New Jersey House of Levy Casino. Levy Casino? I don't know what I'm going to call it yet.
8 points. I don't know. I might wait till Monday on that and hope to see if that gets to double digits. But Cleveland, they've been playing well against the spread. I don't know if the book will let it get to double digits. But Brett, let's talk about the games we are on.
House of Levy. There's a few ways I could go with this. I like it.
There's a few ways. We're going to brainstorm this and come up with what your casino should be.
I'll get a whole sports book here. I'll get the whole setup. It'll be great. Higgins, I'll start off with an easy one, I think. Of course, I'm going to lose because I said that, but that's fine. Sixers at Hornets. Hornets playing on a back-to-back. Hornets without Rozier, without LaMelo Ball, without a few other pieces as well. Look, this is a shorthanded team. Has to play a back-to-back. Sixers getting healthier. Embiid now been a week or two back since he had the COVID break there where he was put in COVID protocols. Tobias Harris was out during that same time frame with a different injury. So he's been, working back, playing better. Tyrese Maxey been a little up and down as of late, but this is a good matchup for him going up against Ish Smith instead of LaMelo Ball. So, look, I think Philly minus 5.5 going up against the team coming off a back-to-back. Good spot for the Sixers.
Yeah, that's an interesting line. I looked at that game briefly. I decided to stay away. Charlotte's been playing well enough that I can't necessarily find myself on that one. Instead, Brett, I decided to pick on a team that played really badly last week. I mean, they were the butt of a lot of jokes. The Thunder, they're traveling to face off against the Pistons, and if you weren't aware, if you were under a rock, the Thunder lost by over 70 points to a Memphis Grizzlies team last week without Ja Morant. The Thunder have been struggling a little bit, and you know what? Detroit's been playing pretty well against the spread so far this season, so I'm going to take the Pistons -4.5 here because even though Oklahoma City may be the 5th best team against the spread in the NBA, that is because they started pretty well. They have not covered their past 3 games, and I think they're about to make it 4.
Yeah, so Josh Giddey out right now for OKC. Yep. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might also be out with a concussion. I want to say he got right before that Grizzlies game. So, excuse me. And they're big. Derek Favors also out. Higgins. So, those are 3 key injuries for the Thunder. So I think it makes sense to say, hey, this team's beat up. They're not fully healthy. They're not playing so great. I will caution Detroit without Olynyk. Hasn't played so great either, but Cade Cunningham does look like he's turning a corner a little bit, Higgins. Turnover's still a little concerning. Big turnover numbers, but shooting much better. His assist numbers are up, so you like to see that from the number 1 overall pick.
Hey, both these teams are rocking quite the losing streak. Most people probably should be staying away from this game, but someone's got to win it, right?
Someone, as crazy as it is, Higgins, someone will walk away with a W.
Unlike in the NFL, the NBA doesn't do ties.
That's a good one. Higgins, I told you the sportsbooks here in New Jersey were disrespecting the Orlando Magic very much last week, and I hit a plus like 11.5 or 12.5 spread there. Higgins, 15 against the Warriors on a Monday night in December. Are you kidding me? Give me the points, Higgins. 15 points? I got 8 possessions here.
That's big. That's a big line. I looked at that really hard too. I looked at it because, like I said, the Warriors, they're one of the best teams against the spread in the NBA. They were the best until Cleveland just untopped them. But 15 points, and I mean, I can't back that. Steph Curry just had a cold game in his last appearance, so I don't know. Maybe he comes out scorching hot and he slaughters them. But if he does, there's no competitive fourth quarter, and easily the Magic can cut into this 15. I think you're definitely on the smart side.
I mean, look, anything can happen on a single night of basketball. You could lose by 79. Go ask the Oklahoma City Thunder. But 15 is a line to start on. This is not a 1-8 game where the 8 team is down their best player in the first game of the play. Higgins, this is December 6th.
Yeah. This is also the biggest spread that Golden State has been favored by so far this season, at least from what I'm looking at. And it looks like it might also be the biggest spread that Orlando has faced as well so far. So interesting.
Yeah, and look, Orlando, again, no Suggs right now, but Cole Anthony playing very well for the Magic. Definitely not a bad most improved player pick there, Higgins.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have one more NBA pick as well. I was with them last episode. I'm going to ride with them again. The Bulls, I really like how they've been playing recently. -4.5 at home against Denver. And yeah, Jokic did really respond against me. I mean, I picked against him recently when he was in Miami, and that backfired against me, but I'm still against a Denver team that is without Austin Rivers. They're without Highland. They're without Ball. Chicago's got a few injuries as well, but they're a bit more healthier with their starting lineup. And so I'm going to rock with the Bulls team that just got a big win over Brooklyn, a big Eastern Conference win there. If they can also get a win over Denver, that really helps them to start out their December.
Yeah, look, Denver, you're right, beat up right now. Chicago, I think they got Kobe White on the COVID list, but other than that, they're looking pretty good, Higgins. So, Chicago, big win over the weekend against the Brooklyn Nets. They had to come back in that one and got the dub. So, Chicago playing with confidence. They've looked good so far in the early season, and yeah, I think it's definitely a live play there, the -4.5 for sure.
And the Bulls, third best in the NBA against the ATS, and they've covered 3 straight so far. I think they're going to make it 4. Brett, before we get out of here, though, I do also have some NHL picks as well. Decide to stay away from the Monday and Tuesday picks. Instead, I just got 2 Monday picks for us. How's that?
I need your January picks, and I need them now, Higgins.
Well, speaking about far ahead picks, for the longest time in the NBA, actually, I had Christmas lines. Now that we're into December, they've pulled those lines. I think they're a little worried in case any injuries might come that actually affect those games. When we were in November, it seemed like it might have been far out enough. Now that we're getting closer, they've taken those lines away entirely. But into the NHL. We got Monday lines. We got Tuesday lines. We don't got January lines.
No January lines in the NHL. All right, Higgins, where are you taking us? What games are we watching?
All right. Well, I am, for one, going to be going with the Anaheim Ducks and the Washington Capitals. Now, these 2 teams are the 2 best in the NHL against the puck line. So how could I really pick either side in the puck line matchup here right now? Because, I mean, Anaheim +1.5 at -140. The Capitals -1.5 at +120. I don't really like the value of either of those picks there. I think that's pretty good line right there. Instead, I'm looking at this over. Specifically, over 6 at +100 value. I like the value, especially when you consider that the Ducks on the road this year, they are 7-3 at hitting overs. Now, overall, they're just average. But on the road, they're really good at hitting their overs. I don't think that the Ducks travel and play all that well. So maybe that means that the Capitals win by -1.5. But I'm not taking that. I'm just going to take the over because, I mean, you look at it, both these teams, they're hitting their overs slightly more than they're hitting their unders this year. But the Ducks on their road, they just can't seem to keep the pucks out of the net.
Well, there you go. It seems like a good bet when Ovechkin is on the other side. And then I see you're also, you're taking Ovechkin, so you got to get on a Crosby game as well. That's how it rolls, huh?
It's exactly how it rolls. And I said it last episode. The Edmonton Oilers and the Seattle Kraken are the best in the NHL at overs. Well, since I said that last episode, the Seattle Kraken are individually just the best team at hitting overs. The Oilers have now fallen back to 5th. The Kraken, they're facing off against the Penguins. They're hosting the Penguins. And you know what? I think over 6 here is a pretty good play, especially when you look at Pittsburgh and you look at how they've used their goalies. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry's in the net for Pittsburgh on Monday night, but there is a chance they could use DeSmith because Pittsburgh has used DeSmith on games against lower level competition to be able to give Jerry some break, especially when they have a tough opponent in their next game. So when you look at most recently, DeSmith, he played last against Montreal on November 27th. Well, on the 29th, the Pittsburgh Penguins played Calgary. Then before that, DeSmith played on the 13th against Ottawa. The next night, Pittsburgh played against the Capitals. The Pittsburgh Penguins are playing against Seattle on the 6th, and then they don't play until the 10th, but they play the Capitals. I wouldn't be surprised if DeSmith is in the net here. They give some extra rest to Jerry, and the Kraken, we already know they let tons of goals go by. DeSmith is averaging over 4 goals on his own as well, so I'm taking over 6.
Sounds like a plan on the ice, Higgins. And look, we'll have answers on Wednesday to see how your over 6 strategy plays out.
Absolutely, and we'll have some some picks on our social media as well. I've been giving out some there, so make sure to follow us there at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. Before we get out of here, Brett, the Levy Lock pick of the pod. I hinted at it at the top of the episode. You know what? I'm going to do it. 2 units all of December on my pick of the pods. That's how we're playing it to end the year.
Good luck.
Well, what says confidence with that unless you're upping up your ante a little bit compared to the rest of your picks? That's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to ride with the Bulls -4.5. They've been playing pretty well against the spread so far this season. And I think they're just going to continue it against a team in the Nuggets who are traveling east, aren't necessarily the healthiest. And I think Chicago just gets it done here.
All right, and I think just giving it a fun name, like Levy Lock, pick of the pot, that instills confidence. My Levy Lock, Sixers -5.5 at the Hornets. It's my favorite bet of the episode for me, Higgins. I think Sixers playing a Hornets team on their back-to-back, a little short-handed. Look, Hornets won on Sunday versus the Hawks. That's a big deal because they were, down a few pieces. But what typically happens, Higgins, I shouldn't say typically. What occasionally happens, Higgins, is these teams that lose a big piece or two will, have their role players come step up for a night or two. I just think that's a tough ask on a back-to-back. So give me the Sixers -5.5.
Sounds like it might be a good spot for some player props, though, with the role players having to step up into some bigger roles.
Maybe, one thing I thought that for sure was going to happen is I thought the Hornets would bump James Bouknight, the rookie, the lottery pick. I thought they'd bump him into the starting lineup because Oubre had played well in his natural position. What they end up doing is sliding Oubre to the 2 in the starting lineup. So, look, Ish Smith had 36 minutes. So, Bouknight didn't play very much. Ish Smith played big minutes. Cody Martin plays big minutes. So, maybe those are the guys you want to target.
All right, something to keep an eye out for sure. Like I said, make sure to follow us on social media. We'll have some picks out between now and next episode. That's at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been episode 180 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again on Thursday.